Here we go again on camera after what seems like a really long time. I'm Bani, which is such a stupid thing to say because that's what the channel is gonna be called. But a little bit about me. Actually, you know what? The reason I'm starting this is I think I wanted to write a book, and I think this is the closest it comes to chronicling whatever's happening in my life and putting it together. I have had the most interesting year last year, and what really matters to me right now is going after authenticity and who I am. I think building in public, building my business in public, raising venture capital for it made me extremely conservative in my approach to risk taking, how I felt about my fears, and how I acted from a place of what would make sense to other people versus me, which was quite the opposite reason for starting up in the first place. So, who am I? And I just want to, this is probably my little guinea pig experiment on what I do with YouTube. I literally just set up, I had a tripod at home and I put up my phone there and Googled a script on ChatGPT for me for my first YouTube video, and I'm just gonna use it and see how it goes. I really want to break away from what has been chasing perfectionism and excellence my whole life. I think a lot of kids who've been academic all their life or just tried to really excel all their life would probably relate. We expect the world and sometimes come very close and miss and think that we've failed, and we don't know why we failed in our own eyes or in the eyes of what society expects from us or what we've been used to hearing. But this is an attempt to be more, I guess, human. There is an aversion that I've had to so-called normalcy, I think almost to a fault, where I look down upon anything that I considered to be a regular human experience because I obviously had to strive to be better than that. And I think that was one really incorrect reason for chasing entrepreneurship, because maybe at some level I thought because I was putting myself through all of that, it made me better. Objectively, did I learn a lot in the last 5 years at a personal and professional level? Yes. But will I glorify that moving on and say that that's better than other ways of living your life? Probably no, because I think it's a one-dimensional way of saying that this is the only thing that works. I think most often, because entrepreneurs, it's something they need to also convince themselves of every day, because it has to make sense to you in your brain that all of the pain that you're putting yourself through has to be for a bigger, better purpose. And I think that's what we tell ourselves, and that just kind of translates outside of us. But is that the recommended or the right path for everybody? Probably not. So that's one hot take. I want to do a lot of other hot takes and really kind of just get my opinions out. I have been the founder of a mental health startup called Now&Me, which is how I started my journey in creating any sort of content. We did a lot of content for the brand's Instagram page, which got some virality in 2020, early COVID, and that kind of really propelled us to grow from there. But yeah, I think I learned a lot about building a business, about mental health in general. I think that's quite a privilege to have worked on something, the learnings of which would stay with me for a lifetime at even a personal level, not just professional. But having said that, given that it was a sensitive topic to deal with, and my co-founder and I are not the kind of persons to not take responsibility and be okay with whatever we were putting out. We would obviously be very meticulous, measured, kind of always make sure we're getting the right opinion or the right fact out. I think all of that just led to me curtailing and curbing a lot of my own personality. So this is also an attempt at self-exploration. And I recently read that you don't find yourself, you create yourself. So here's me wanting to create more this year and create my experiences, create my new personality, because life has been very interesting and exciting, and a lot has happened after 25 and not gone the way I had planned for it to go, in good and bad ways both. So, and mostly good. I think there's a lens with which I can look at it, and I think that lens is good. So if I look at it and think about, okay, what's to come ahead is also good, then yeah, I'm excited to find what I discover. And I want this to be like super authentic. I don't want to work for the perfect cut, say the right thing. I want to be able to make mistakes, human in whatever I put out, in the hopes that it takes me to a more authentic version of myself. And okay, now on to factoids and what do I really want to do with this channel, which for the most part I don't know. I think the entrepreneur in me has like this bias for action. So the moment I think of something, I just get onto it. So I thought of starting a YouTube channel. It's been on my mind for a really long time. I think YouTube is a very interesting medium. I've also just seen the quality of interactions being higher and better. My most pressing use for YouTube is I like to watch a lot of ASMR or like meditation videos before I go to sleep, which is how I discovered it. I found the ASMR side of the internet to be extremely positive. The comments are super nice. And I also just saw that intersection in mental health and ASMR and meditation, and how the kind of storylines and every creative process that goes into the range of ASMR videos that are created really brings a lot of comfort to a lot of people beyond just sleep. It tackles a lot of more serious themes also. So I think that was really magical to me, which I couldn't explore through, it didn't come through to me via Instagram. And then of course there is YouTube Music now, so that's where most of my music is saved, which has been a switch from Spotify. But yeah, now to a more formal introduction about who I am. I think I'm in a questioning mode, so I think I'm going to change the way convention is. So of course for the last 5 years I've been introducing myself as the co-founder of Now&Me, which has become like my whole soul identity. I think I stopped being a person, and I think this may sound like a hostage video, but and it's not like anybody else kept me at gunpoint but myself. But this is a journey into discovering myself outside of my work. And I think the reason it is so tough is you also just really love, you want to pour into, you've given so much of your life and heart to your business, and there's no other way you'd rather want it to be. But if you don't strike a balance, the scales tend to tip to one side, and that side may not necessarily be the best side. So this is my really honest also review of entrepreneurship, I guess, as a young 20 something who started a business right after college. And I want to come up with a new introduction, and maybe that's another thing that I do through this series. So far I've been the co-founder of Now&Me. I have had the honor of being a part of, by the way, me looking here is into my laptop, into the ChatGPT script that I just pulled up, which I think should give you a sense of how I operate. I really want it, like, doesn't have to be that deep is what I'm really aiming for this year. But I've been in the Forbes 30 under 30 list about 2 years ago. I was a part of the Google Startup Accelerator. All of this is through Now&Me. And a bunch of other things. There was a lot of media coverage that we gathered. It was, I think, an interesting news bite for two young Delhi University girls to be starting something like this, which was really noble and up and coming topic at the time. Now ChatGPT is telling me why this channel, which is in the power of sharing real stories, whether about entrepreneurship, building a brand, finding a purpose, or just navigating life as a young woman with big dreams. I think it's pretty accurate. But it also describes me as a young, independent and ambitious entrepreneur from India, which I have been doubting lately. When I was starting Now&Me, that is probably what I aspire to be, or how I would have described myself. But over the years I've really started to doubt my ambitions, and maybe it's because they've changed, or maybe it is dependent on what I'm chasing. Maybe initially I thought I'm chasing a very complex and important problem for society, and that is where I kind of drew my self-worth and validation from, which I no longer want to do. I also realized that was extremely tough to do, and I'm now picking up something which may be considered a little more frivolous in comparison. Is that bad? No. Is that less important? Also no. But have I fully come to terms with accepting that inside? Not yet. But again, we'll find out. So I want this channel to be a space where we can talk openly about the highs, the lows, and everything in between. I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, it's bang on for my first YouTube video script by ChatGPT. Yeah, that's true. I think I've always enjoyed hearing the sound of my own voice. I would send long voice notes to Drishti, my co-founder and best friend in crime. My longest voice note to her has been 7 minutes, and we've joked often about starting a podcast together, given how much we speak. I'm sure she'll start her channel soon too, and then maybe we will do a podcast together. But that is literally the idea. I think the next thing I'm gonna do is probably get a mic and just start talking more. Like I already have been. What to expect? You can expect videos about my new ventures, what I'm learning along the way, and how I'm trying to create products that bring joy, beauty, and value to people's lives. Also accurate. I'll also share behind the scenes of starting a new brand, exploring new business ideas, and maybe even a bit of my everyday life. Because hey, balance is everything. I shouldn't mock this, it's true. I also want to talk a little bit about my personality and interests in the hope that I again develop them further, because I was a very active child in school. I had a lot of interests, a lot of things that I like to pursue outside of the classroom beyond academics. I was one of those like debate, dance, singing type of like kid, always just from one competition to the next. I'm hoping to get some of that wonder and excitement and joy in my life again from trying new things. I remember I was very okay as a kid not winning. Like for me, the joy was being outside the classroom without having to officially bunk classes. I think that I just felt great. Second was the experience of doing and trying something new. Often it would mean interacting with a bunch of other students when they would be group related activities. They would sometimes be within the same school, or we would end up going to a new school, which was again a new experience. I think I was really chasing. The journey was truly more rewarding than the outcome or the result. And I'm hoping that I bring some of that back. I've been meaning to, I did a little bit of travel last year, really finally pushed myself to see the world a little bit and not be caught up in just my own day to day kind of firefighting for my business. Again, that was eye opening and was liberating. And I've been wanting to pick up new hobbies. I picked up Pilates about 2 years ago, and I want to add to that. I have my eyes on like a ballet training class right now, maybe a little bit of music. I've gotten some details on that. I have been writing a little bit. I have some like 15 odd pages for the book that I've been meaning to write, but like I don't see a hair or tail or structure right now. But I think anything's possible. So, and that's how it starts, right? Like creative processes are usually pretty arbitrary and messy. So, yeah, I think that's what you can expect this year, along with my learnings from building a consumer first tech venture in the modern day world before the Shark Tanks kind of took over and we raised venture capital. What was that like? How did we scale? What did we take it to? What have been some of my learnings? Who are some of the entrepreneurs I have had the privilege to talk to, learn from, influencers and creators, anything and everything related to my learnings. There are some stellar people that I'm planning to start a new venture that I'm learning from and are not in the same industry, but I'm getting to learn so much more. So new learnings, old learnings. If you are excited about business, consumers, maybe technology, and then anything and everything else under the sun, right? Art, dance, music, maybe a little makeup, fitness, all of this. Whatever makes for a good life, I think that's what we're all chasing. And perhaps we had a better sense of that when we were younger, or not. I think some of us were also just trying to fit in. But that is also the point of this exercise, to find the life or create the life that I want and find that along the way. Which balances all of these really well and gives me a sense of contentment and identity and purpose beyond my work. I think that's extremely important to me now. And yeah, money. I think I don't often talk about money. I think it's one of those things that is either considered too crass to talk about if you talk about it too much, or not savvy enough if you talk about it too little. So also just trying to find a way to be able to speak about money with respect and dignity. It is the currency of how we engage in this world. So also factoring that in a way that sits right by me. And what else? This is my room. I think I'm gonna be doing a few more of these videos from my room, but again, I really don't know. I could just maybe make those vlogs kind of on the move. But yeah, so it begins. It's very real, but how I want to talk to you is how I would talk to someone sitting with me on a one-on-one conversation. I truly enjoy those. I think they have a lot of depth, meaning, and I'm able to add a lot of input, and it is extremely heartfelt and more personal rather than like one to many.